Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is an open live, something I do rarely, but I wanted to do an open live because I've been getting so many requests to profile the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, and I wanted to do so in such a way that I would help people understand how investigations actually work, how profiling actually works, when we actually look at the known facts, and do we even know the facts from outside the case? And that is always a big problem. So first, I want to welcome everybody who is in the chat room, since this is an open live, open to patrons and also open to the public. So welcome everybody. I'd say hello to everybody, but there's so many people. and so I can't keep up with it. And I apologize for not being able to do that. But I do want to say this as I want to make sure you can hear me because we had some sound issues the other day. So I would appreciate if you let me know that you can see and hear me before I rattle on and we don't actually have a show going on here. And while you're telling me that, I'm going to just say, if you'd like to be in the chat room on a regular basis, it's patron only for the most part. Two shows a week that are patron only lives. There is this case show on the weekend, and also during the week I have a hangout where I answer questions. I talk about things in the news and so on and so forth. It's $5 a month. It's very cheap, but it supports an educational channel. And it's fun to have a community that is really nice. And there's a wonderful community. If you don't want to do that, please do at least subscribe to the channel. Also supports an educational channel. And all of my lives, once they're finished, do go public. So there's nothing hidden. So if you don't join Patreon, you still get to see every single one of my videos because I want you to learn things. So that's that. Let me go now check to see whether you are saying that you are actually seeing me properly. So let's see. Let me check it out here. Okay, you can see and hear me. Okay, we had a big issue the other day. It was kind of a nightmare. Oh, I completely forgot. This is an open live, so I want to thank. Wait, we gotta put this up there. Wait a minute. What? Hold on a second. I've seen some lovely people send some. Hold on a second. There's so many people here, and I want to recognize the people who are kind enough to try to support this channel this way. Thank you, Sarah, very much. I appreciate that. Yes, I did make 80,000. So I've been working a long time, 5 years almost now, and as an educational channel, I'm pleased to at least have that much, which is even hard to get. Thank you, Rats. I just love Rats Rule. She's one of my patrons, and I just love I love Rats. Thank you for all you do. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Pamela says, buy a Mai Tai. Yeah, I bought a Mai Tai the other day, and I had an allergic reaction to it. So I'm not going to buy a Mai Tai, but I'll buy a Pina Colada. How's that? I think that'll be a lot safer. Okay, as I get started here now, I want to say this because we have an open chat room. Most of the time it goes really well, but sometimes people get a little carried away. So I want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want to say, please speak only in English. We got some people here who speak other languages, and sometimes they get into little conversations, and it's very distracting. I can't understand those languages necessarily, and so therefore I get distracted by them, and other people do too. Please keep side conversations down to it. Just don't do side conversations like having private little conversations. I see them, and it takes up the chat space, so I can't see people who want to communicate with me. So what I'd like you to do is focus on this case. Pretend we are an investigative team. This is an educational channel. I want you to be profilers with me, detectives with me, be an investigative team. I want what's in the chat room to be focused only on this case, not other cases, not side conversations, on this case, talking about what you think the facts that we know, and those are questionable. I just want to point that out. What we're getting is through the media, and the media has been, since I've worked in the media over 15 years, I can say half the time they're not right. They throw out anything they feel like throwing out, and half the time it's not true. So we don't actually know what the police know or what the FBI knows, but we're going to work as if we were a team, looking at the facts we think we know and analyzing those facts. So I want to see your comments. I want to see your questions. Like, what do you think about this fact? What do you think about that? Do you think this is a good theory? Do you think this is not a good theory? I want to see all of that. And before I came to the show today, some of you had some great questions and some great theories. So I like that. And that's fantastic. So this is what I want to focus on as we do the show. And before I start with the actual facts, what we know, I want to clarify what profiling is because people do not understand this. People think profiling is like psychic work, like somehow profilers have some inside track to the minds of killers, that we meld with the minds of killers. We do not. And if you do meld with the mind of killers, maybe you need some psychological help. What I do understand is how killers generally think and behave and act from working so many cases. So a profiler looks at the facts of the case. A good profiler looks at the facts of the case, analyzes what they know is true, and then they develop theories that will help law enforcement focus on the best avenues of investigation. And I say best avenues of investigation because the point is, it's not psychic stuff. It's not like, oh, I know who did it and this is why they did it. No, this, looking at the facts, I say maybe we should put a lot of effort this direction. These are the facts that we should do more investigation here. But let's not get tunnel vision. Let's look over here as well, because we don't want tunnel vision. We want to investigate all the avenues. And this is what the police and the FBI are doing right now behind the scenes. I want to tell you that as a person who's not behind the scenes, I am with you. I only know what the media has put out. And a lot of times when I've worked cases, I've seen what's been out in the media. I've seen what the family told me. I roll in, I sit in the police department. I get all the files. I start going through all the files, the crime scene photos and all that stuff. And I go, oh my God, if I'd known this on the outside, I would have thought differently. So I know that by being on the inside of the case, I'm going to know 10 times more. So this is why this is an educational channel. If all we know is what we know now, I would say, here's what we will be looking at as an investigator. But I'm not on the inside of the case. So this is a teaching experience, I know exactly. Okay. So questions are coming on already. Do you think they always plan to do a ransom since they sent it to the media? All right. Good question. Let me read. Some people have no idea about this case because they don't live in the US, and this is not something they're even familiar with. Let me explain the case to those who are outside in a very short period here. Authorities believe Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home near Tucson, Arizona, and is in poor health without vital medication. She has she's got a pacemaker in her heart. She's taking medication. I've seen her arm, and her arm is quite discolored, which usually indicates it's an issue. Let me comment on this. I'm trying to. I work on this alone, so it's sometimes hard to keep up with. If I don't say thank you, it's because things have flown by. Do you think it's a family member? I'm going to get to that because a lot of people do think so, especially since Ashley Manfield went and said she had somebody that knew, somebody great, somebody in law enforcement, impeccable, said that it was a brother-in-law of Savannah Guthrie. And some of you don't know who the heck Savannah Guthrie is, so I'm going to try to explain this to you. Authorities believe Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home near Tucson, Arizona, and is in poor health without vital medication. And that is absolutely true. She's 84 years old. She's got a pacemaker, and she's on medication because she's on blood thinners and all that stuff because she has heart condition, and she's 84. She was last seen on the night of January 31st, and her family discovered she was gone when she didn't show up for church the next day. That kind of information, I don't know if it's true. There's some weird stuff running around on the internet that somebody said she didn't show up for church, but she wasn't actually a regular churchgoer. So I don't know the truth of any of that. So I'm going to keep pointing out what I don't know is true. What I do know is somehow the next day, it was not. Her whereabouts were unknown, and the family became concerned. All right, we believe Nancy is still out there. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said on February 5th. Well, she is out there. Well, anybody's going to be out there, dead or alive. So we don't know if she's dead or alive, but obviously she's out there somewhere. So So this is Savannah Guthrie. In case you don't know who Savannah Guthrie is, now Savannah Guthrie has been a long time personality on television. She's been a Today Show host, and I'm pretty sure I've done the Today Show a lot in my past. I know I've been on with Natalie. I know I've been. I know I've been on with a lot of people. I'm not sure if I've been on with Savannah because it's just I've been on so many shows. I did the Today Show a lot, so I may have been on the show with Savannah, but she's a very well known celebrity uh, who's been a host for a long time in television. And let me put it this way: she has a lot of money. I say that because there's a huge ransom. As the ransom is now 6 million, it's supposedly $6 million. Um, Nobody's going to come after me for $6 million because I know probably I don't have it. But I'm going to say I know what the difference between commentators like myself make and what a host of a show makes. So she makes a lot of money. So I would say she's quite well off. All right. So she is in the public eye. She's obviously what we would call wealthy. So what does that have to do with her mother? Well, it could make her mother a target because her daughter has a lot of money. As far as how much money Nancy has, I've tried to look that up. Nancy does own this lovely home. It's a really lovely home, but I think I looked at. I tried to get information on it, and it appears like she's been in that home for years and years and years. So let's look at it. It's a big home. It's got a nice swimming pool. You know, here's some of the outside. Just some the drone pictures that the Snoopy people have been putting up here. It's a lovely home. I mean, it's a large home apparently, and it's in this neighborhood, and it's got a lot of space around it. Just a lovely home with a pool. Now, apparently, when she bought this home, it wasn't that expensive back in the day, but now it's worth about supposedly $1 million. I don't know. She's worked as a professional in her life. I don't think she's ever been rich. So that she was targeted for money. It makes no sense that she was targeted because she could take her mother and then go after her money. Yes, that makes sense. So I'm putting that out there as just the information for why there might be a ransom demand. Okay, so that's basically, she's been missing for a week now. The ransom demands have been interesting. One was for Thursday deadline and nothing ever came of it. And now there's one for Monday, which is tomorrow. Let me go check some of your Okay, let me look at some of your things. I'm confused to the siblings. Is the son-in-law married to the woman we see next to Savannah? Oh, okay. Or is it another sibling? Okay, so we have this picture. Okay, so as far as I know, and you know, I think her sister. This is Savannah in the middle, and that's her sister to the left, as far as I know, and her brother to the right. Her brother lives out of state. Her sister lives close by to her mother. The brother-in-law that they keep talking about is a sister's husband. And that's the one that Ashley Banfield decided to say was the number one suspect in this case, based on some impeccable law enforcement person or somebody unknown. And Ashley Banfield should not have done that. I will say that. One of the problems we have in the media is that when you use sources that you cannot name and you come up and blatantly point the finger at somebody and call them the top suspect, I think that's wrong. I think that's absolutely atrocious. It should not have happened. But this is what happens on TV a lot in the media, especially on the internet in general, all the YouTube shows and all that stuff. People like pointing fingers everywhere because you can, and you get clicks for it and you get views for it. If I point any direction, I'm going to only do so in the context of if we had this information, the investigator would look this way. It doesn't mean this is means that the person's guilty. It's just this is one of the avenues of investigation they must take. And then there's other avenues of investigation they must take as well. So nobody is, there's no known suspect at this point, at least not that law enforcement is talking about. So we shouldn't point fingers and say, that guy did it. That's kind of irresponsible and libelous as hell. Okay, so now say this, okay. Now, Terry, this is a stupid shit that I don't like when I do open lives. Look at Savannah's husband, Michael Feldman. He was a fixer for the Clintons. You know what that will get you? That will get you banned off my channel right here because it's stupid. Ban user and put them in. Okay. Don't ever do that. Okay. Let me just get rid of that. What? Okay. That is nonsense. And I've heard so many things. She said something bad against Trump. So therefore, somebody from Trump killed her. Now she's hooked up with the Clintons. Get out of here. No politics on this channel. Right away. No politics. If you're going to bring that in the channel, you're going to do these ridiculous conspiracy theories, get out of here. Don't have time for it. So anyway, bye-bye. Yeah, absolutely. Adios. All right. Now, this is an interesting question. So Honeybee says, Ransom asked took a few days, not right as Nancy was taken. Do you think it was first a burglary gone wrong and they realized whose house it was and then pivot to a kidnap scenario? That is a very interesting question. And that one of the things I really approve of is questions that sometimes think outside the box. Could this have happened? All right. Could it have been a burglary gone wrong? It would be a home invasion gone wrong in the sense that it's the middle. It was the early hours of the morning. So the likelihood of somebody being home, her vehicle was home. I've never quite understood the vehicle issue, by the way. Those things I do not understand about this case because they haven't been made clear, and I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I think there was a vehicle in her garage, or I'm not, as far as I know, but she doesn't seem to drive. It seems that she took an Uber, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm going to say things are flying in to her daughters and her son-in-law's house, and they had a nice evening, eating food, playing games, and then supposedly one of the family members took her back to her home. It's been reported it was her son-in-law, and therefore that's why all the finger pointing at him like he did something because he dropped her back at her house. But would somebody? It would be a home invasion if it was in the middle of the night, and they could have been surprised somebody was there. But why would they be surprised? And then decided, how would they know, even if they went in there at that point in time, that she was the mother of Savannah? Would they even have a clue? Would they just pick that house and come up with, oh wow, does she say, oh, don't you know, I'm the mother of a famous person? I mean, probably she's not going to say that. So it does not seem that would be the intent. I do believe the intent was abduction and then ransom. But the question is, a lot of people have asked, is the ransom real? The ransom request real, or is the ransom a cover up for the abduction and possible murder of Nancy? So we can look at it that. I'm going to look at some of your questions. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will throw people off of here act stupidly. Who tries to kidnap an elderly woman who can barely walk? That's a good question. A lot of times we look at the issue, could it have been like a rape type of situation, abduction for rape, and a serial killer. Serial killers sometimes abduct people and then rape and murder them. 84-year-old women are usually not the target of such a choice. Now, have 84-year-old women been raped and murdered in their own home by serial killers? Yes, they have. These serial killers aren't ageist. Isn't that nice? So, yeah. No. So no freedom of speech on this channel. Okay, Deb. The answer to that is no, because guess what? It's my channel, and I'm going to now put you in. Bye-bye. Anyway, no, I don't want politics on this channel. Because this is a criminal profiling channel. If you're an idiot and you want to come here and talk politics, the answer to that is no. Go someplace else. Have your own channel. Okay, so now I want to go through. Oh, that is true. Life says it's sad that the families, every move is being reported. They have no privacy. They do not. But when you're in the public eye, let's face it, you're never going to have privacy again. It's just a fact. I know I've been in the public eye for many years, but I'm not as well known as Savannah or some great well-known actress or actor. They can't go out for dinner and not be recognized. I don't know how they deal with it. Luckily, I'm not that recognizable for most people, and I'm not that as famous, so I can wander around in my regular life and pretty much nobody bothers me. So I do have stalkers occasionally, but other than that, pretty good. But yes, there's no way. And then once this kind of thing happens, it's just going to be the way it is. All right. Let me look at some of the other comments. I want to get to the actual facts of this case. I want to point out this, though. Farming Felicity says, I don't think so, because why would they have taken her? They realized they messed up. Adding extra on top of that is extra stupid. But then again, people can be really stupid. You're correct, but this is bigger. Okay, so do I believe this was like a home invasion gone wrong? No. Do I believe this was an abduction, a planned abduction? Absolutely. So that I will stand by. Why? Because there were some carefully planned out aspects of this crime. So let's look at what those carefully planned out aspects were. Now, let me go to the little bits of evidence we have on. So we have the missing the camera. All right. So this is fascinating to me that this person actually removed the camera, one of those door cameras. Why? First of all, you don't have to remove it. You could block it. You could spray paint over it. You could hang something over it. You could do other things quickly. Somebody actually went to the effort of removing it. And the question will be, why did they feel a need to remove it? And why did they go to all that work? So that's going to be, I'm going to get to your questions on that in a minute, or comments on that. Then there was this issue about the floodlight, or flood lamp, or whatever the heck it is, being missing, but apparently it was damaged, and this is very confusing in all the other news reports. Like 2 different ones were supposedly damaged, and whether they were damaged or whether they were pulled off the house, I think they removed them when they were doing the investigation. But again, I don't absolutely know. If they were damaged, then they were damaged for a reason of, I would think, preventing them from functioning, so that there were not lights on that location of the house. So somebody would not have visual camera of somebody going into the house, any kind of video, couldn't see them. Now, I'll just stop here to say, there's a lot of ways to prevent being recognized, which is wear all black clothing, put a balaclava on, just the ski masky thing, and you got his eyes. There have been some people who've been known to change their skin color underneath, so that if you're like a white person, you could put darker skin color on and become a black person. Vice versa, you could put some lighter skin color on, you could be a black person posing as a white person. I mean, you could do all this kind of crap. There's ways to disguise yourself. And so do you need to remove the camera so that it doesn't function? Now, mind you, the camera was actually not functioning very well because she didn't have a subscription. And a lot of people have asked about the subscription issue. I have a subscription right now for this is my cat camera. I'm in Hawaii. I live in Maryland. I'm in Hawaii for 3 months to get out of the winter. I'm being a snowbird, and I have this feral cat. This is a feral cat, and not my cat. I keep claiming, but he's been coming for 2 years, so I guess he sort of is. But anyway, I didn't want him left unfed, unable to come in and stay cozy and warm. So my granddaughter comes in every week, and she fills up the food and water bowls, and then he comes through the cat door and he sleeps in his little bed. And I have a cat camera set up, which takes the videos, pictures and videos of him. And I can go through and I can see exactly when he arrived. I can click on it and see him walking into the house. I can see him eating. I can see him laying down. So it takes these little video shots because I have a subscription. My daughter has our house highly wired for video, all directions around the house. Why? Because my daughter is a police detective. I am a criminal profiler. I live next door to her, so she is wired the heck out of that house. So we can watch all the different areas, and all of those things are recorded. And so if anybody breaks into our house, comes to kill us, whatever, we have recordings of all of that. I don't know. I never question my daughter about what the setup is, what she pays. I don't know. I'm not all that. I'm not all that brilliant on all these systems. My cat camera is the first one I've had inside the house. I do know I pay a subscription. She apparently did not have a subscription, so therefore she wasn't getting the video feed of what was happening on the outside of her house. And to me, that means somebody didn't know that. Now, immediately people will say, well, somebody didn't know that, then it would not be a family member. They would know these things. No, I will say this right away. No. People always think that family members know everything. Oh my God, she's 84 years old, therefore her family knows everything. I'm 70. My family doesn't know everything. I mean, she's in poorer health than I am, and she's older than I am, but still. People who are senior citizens have their own agency. We like to live our own lives. She lived alone. And people are like, oh my God, how could they leave her alone? Maybe because she liked it. Because she's an individual who wants to live her own damn life and not have her children all over her. Maybe she doesn't want to live with her kids and be a third wheel, that kind of thing. So no, maybe she lives perfectly fine. She's got some health issues. But she's taking her medication, and maybe she knows she could drop dead in her house. But so what? You can drop dead any place. So people, you can also, fall and hurt yourself and say, I can't get up. But I've seen people have that happen in assisted living places. They've fallen in assisted living places and are found for hours. So that she wanted to live alone, made a choice. She did not have dementia. She did not have Alzheimer's. She was perfectly mentally healthy. She made her choice to live in her home that she's lived in for all these years, that she enjoys. And the one thing she probably didn't think of was that somebody would come and kidnap her. That was kind of not something she thought would happen, because it's such an anomaly. But would the family absolutely know that she doesn't have a subscription? I don't know. I don't know what the situation was. I don't know who put the camera in. I don't know who, did anybody talk with her about it? And this is what I want to point out. Investigators know more than we do, because they are talking with Savannah. They're talking with Savannah's brother and sister. And so they're talking to all these people, trying to determine why she didn't have a subscription service. Was it something she had and it just lapsed? Was it something she never really paid attention to? Did she not care? Did anybody in her family, were they responsible for the installation of the door camera? All this stuff we do not know. So, but apparently it seems the person wasn't aware. The person who removed all that camera wasn't aware that it really wasn't functioning as far as taking some videos. And that's very important to me as to maybe who might have been involved and also why they took the camera. So I'm going to go to some of your comments before I go on that. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dee Dee. A Subaru in the garage. She doesn't drive at night, but she's got a good car, because I do approve of the Subaru, one of my favorite cars. She doesn't drive at night. And that's very common for a lot of people who are older, because they have eyesight problems, cataract problems. So driving during night is much more difficult. So thank you for that. See, those are things I don't even know, because a lot of you have information from different sources that I haven't seen. That's cool. That's very good to know. And so that makes sense that she would get an Uber over to dinner with her daughter and her husband, and then have a nice time. And then somebody drove her back. She could have taken an Uber back, but I don't know why somebody drove her back. But just because they drove her back doesn't mean that they killed her or abducted her. Also, same thing, poor Uber driver. Just because a guy Uber driver picked her up doesn't mean he said, aha, I can come back and kidnap this woman. However, having said that, will the investigators look at the Uber driver, and will they look at the son-in-law, because he was the last one to see her, if he drove her back there's conflicting reports that he drove her back, somebody from the house drove her back, whatever. Yes, they will have to do that, because if they don't, that's not due diligence. Of course, they're going to the port and Uber driver is going to be investigated. Most likely he's not involved, but still, they're gonna check him out just in case. They're gonna check out the son-in-law because he was the last person to see her and he drove her home just in case. Doesn't mean he did it. So then we get back to the fact that the person who did do it. Wow, why didn't they know that there was a subscription service? Because when I see if I saw a door camera, I pretty much assume I'm on that damn door camera, unless I know I'm not on that door camera. So I believe the person didn't know that it wasn't working properly as a video captures. So either a family member didn't know that she didn't have a subscription service, or it lapsed, or it was a complete stranger who had no clue she didn't have a subscription service. So that's where I put that. All right. Let's see what else you have to say here. Okay. In my opinion, whatever happened, the house was staged to look like a kidnapping. I do not believe that, just to say, Lulu. But perfectly reasonable thing to guess, or to, I'm not guess, speculate. All right. Should you speculate, if you were a detective on this case or profiler, should you say, could this be a staged thing? That, in other words, she was killed and then, oh shit, dang, I didn't expect that to happen. Now what do I do? I'll have to simulate an abduction. Could this be true? Okay, I think it could be true. So I don't object to that. However, the level of trying to prove this is an abduction seems to be a kind of extreme to me. It would be easier to just fake a home invasion. Much easier. I mean, she's 84 years old. I don't know what, let's say she died on the property, but we don't know what she died of at this point. If she died, let's say she was struck in the head in an argument. So she suffered some concussion. So she's lying on the ground, bleeding out. All you do is toss the house, break a window, and walk away. That's a lot smarter than trying to do this whole rigmarole with removing cameras and doing and going to TMZ with requests and demands for $6 million in Bitcoins. Wow. Do you want to bring that much attention? If you actually, that was what happened, probably just might want to make it look like a home invasion. That's the simplest and probably hard thing to disprove. I mean, quite frankly, if it looked like she was hit on the head and something was stolen from the place, home invasion is much more likely than some kind of kidnapping. So I don't think it was staged. I do not. I think this was a planned abduction. As far as what I know, and I'm going to say this again, as far as what I know, not just so that when I'm proven wrong, I don't look like a total idiot, but just that if I were a profiler working with the detectives on the case, I would determine what was the better, for me, I would say, looking at the evidence, this is the best avenue of investigation I would recommend. Maybe 80% here, 20% here, or 60% here, 20% here, 20% here. Because as a detective, I want to point this out, detectives are profilers in their own right. They have to analyze the evidence. They're supposed to be analyzing the physical evidence, the circumstantial evidence, the behavioral evidence. They analyze all that, hopefully in the first 48, so they know which way to go. And then they're profilers in their own right. They're doing basically the same thing I'm doing. Now, sometimes they don't have as much training, which is the problem. We have most detectives go into detective work. They move up from the street into detective work and don't ever go to detective school or profiling school. So they try to learn on the job. And I feel that's a big mistake with law enforcement, that they need to get training, but they don't. So they're doing a lot of guessing. And they may be no better than the public at guessing some of these things because they haven't had training. But they are basically being profilers. And then the FBI got people come in and, well, they're brought in because there's a huge case and the local PD probably doesn't want them there, but they don't know what to do, so they got to let them come in. there's not a lot of love between local PDs and the FBI, except for evidence examination, like fingerprints and DNA. But other than that, they really don't love the FBI coming in and with their little profilers taking over the case. It's a kind of territorial thing. So anyway, they're looking at these different things and they're trying to decide which way to best look. Now, if it was a staged crime scene, should you eliminate? So, because I personally think it doesn't look like a staged crime scene to me. Would I eliminate that entirely? No, because I don't want to have tunnel vision. So I'd say, hey, let's keep that in mind. Let's as we're going through and we're getting more evidence, because as you get more evidence, things change. People don't understand that. I've done so many cases where outside the investigation, I thought one thing. When I got in there and started looking at the evidence, I'm like, holy crap. Now I know what's going on. But I didn't know that outside. And this is where we are right now, outside. But then even as you're inside, if new evidence comes in, it can change everything. So profiling is never about just pointing the finger and saying 100% that's the motive and that's the killer. It's about determining best avenues of investigation. So, but I don't find it very convincing that this was a staged. Now, okay, I don't. Sean, did they originally offer the paltry sum of $2,500 as a reward? I have no clue, and I don't. A lot of stuff is out there on the internet. I have no clue it's true or not, and unless it comes from law enforcement, I prefer not to waste my time with it. What? I agree with speculation that it's a neighbor. Why? Why would it be the neighbor? Neighbors have money. Why would they be doing that? So a lot of this stuff to me is jumping conclusions. Okay. And not based on it's true that they may be looking at sewers. The police have to do due diligence. They're going to look at every freaking thing they can as they spread out from the house. But that doesn't mean that certain things have to do with anything. Now, let me point out some things. I'm going to point out what I see so far. Okay, so we have the missing ring camera, the door, this ring camera, the door right there. Why would somebody remove it? And in my opinion, there's only one reason, because I think it works and because I think it points out on the driveway. Why is that important? There's this other piece of information that supposedly they smashed up some stuff, some floodlights. I don't know if how I don't know the truth of all this stuff, but okay, so maybe they didn't want to be seen approaching the house. Just saying. And then we have this other piece of information. And this to me is very fascinating. We have these blood drops. They are Nancy Guthrie's blood. They have done the DNA test. That is her blood. You will notice that all the blood drops are very round, which means they're straight down. What does that mean? She's not running. In other words, let's say she was bleeding and or cut arm or cut head or whatever, and she's fleeing. You would have blood drops that are flying, and they would have little tails on them showing the direction in which she was going. That doesn't exist here. All the blood drops straight down. You also don't notice any spurting of blood. So in other words, just not blood coming out of her neck, or, she's not being attacked outside. She's not, her jugular hasn't been cut. There's not a lot of blood, but it's bump, 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 these little circles, which means one of two things. One, and this is what many people surmise, I've seen put out there, that she was being led out of the house. And the blood was dropping as she was led out of the house. Well, she would have to be led, first of all, pretty slowly. None of the blood is smudged, which I think is interesting. Could she have? She's got heart. She probably has very thin skin. She's on blood thinners, so the chances of her, she could have a very small damage to her, and then just have her be in her hand just be dripping blood. It's possible. That's one possibility. I have not heard, and this is again, I have not heard. Keep this in mind, that the blood extends any more than the bricks on this going to the bricks going to the driveway. This tiles going to the driveway. Now I want to see what you all say as detectives working on this case with me. Somebody has removed. They killed the camera. They removed the camera so it would not take video out of the driveway. And then we see blood drops going to what appears to be on the tiles toward the driveway. Somebody comment here, because this is an educational channel. It's not just all about me. It's all about learning. What do you think would be then the reason they took the camera? Okay, let me look at this. Is there a possibility the person's got in while she went into the garage, was there for hours? No, I think this was. I think this was planned. I think it's 100% planned abduction. I don't think this was. They were trying to rob her, and a home invasion gone wrong. Again, for a home invasion gone wrong is too much damn work. People usually work in ways that make sense for them. So I know, Sarah, you believe staging is involved. I don't have any proof of that, and I don't think it's a fake abduction. I think well, first of all, she really was abducted. She was taken from the home. So what if you're going to stage at that point? What are you staging? And why do you stage something so elaborate? Inheritance. Let me point out that inheritance issue while we're talking. I'm looking forward to your comments on the camera issue and the blood. But inheritance. I don't know how much money she had. First of all, obviously Savannah doesn't need a penny. Do the other two kids need money from her? Her sister is. I think the brother-in-law is. I think he's a teacher, and the sister. I don't know what she does. She does stuff. And the other brother lives far away. The brother lives far away. Would they do this for money, for the inheritance? Well, just for the inheritance, you take away the ransom demand issue. Let's say it's an inheritance issue. There's $1 million house. Okay. I don't know how mom would share out the money as far as that goes. Savannah doesn't need it. So let's even assume she said, hey, Savannah, you got a crap load of money, so I'm just going to give the money to the other two kids. So the other two kids will get $500,000 in each one of them in the home. Maybe she had a life insurance policy. I haven't seen any evidence on that. I don't know how much money she might have in the bank. She wasn't a rich woman, unless Savannah gave her a lot of money. She just was a middle-class, successful woman. Her husband died years ago. I just don't know how much money she was stored up there. But here's the thing for me. She's 84 years old. She's got heart problems, and she's got very fragile health. Now, I'm 70. I don't take any medications. Now, mind you, I could drop dead tomorrow, but I don't take any medications. My mother and father lived until their 90s. If my kids are after my money, they might go, dang, Ma, I'm going to wait 20 more years. Am I going to get any cash from you? I want what you got. But 20 more years? Okay, they could get a little annoyed. I don't think she had that long, personally. I just with her conditions, she would be lucky if she lasted a year, 2 years, 3 years, not that long. Can you just wait it out? Then the other issue comes down to if you just want her dead, make it look like a home invasion. I've often said, and keep this in mind, all of you people here, keep this in mind. If I end up at the bottom of the stairs at my daughter's house who lives next door, the Cane Corso dog did not knock me down the stairs. It was one of them. Because there's an easy way to offer me without going through all the machinations that we see now. So I believe anybody in her family killed her, because we don't know that she's alive when she left the house, and I'll get into that. We don't know that anybody killed her for the money she had, which I just don't think is highly impressive enough that and due to her age and health conditions, it makes any sense. Could they be after the $6 million in Bitcoin they could get from, let's say one of her siblings or spouses was involved in this. $6 million in Bitcoin is a lot better than what mommy is going to give. You know what I mean? So could they be actually doing that in order to get $6 million in Bitcoin from her? That would be more reasonable than they were offering her for an inheritance. I want to point that out. Let's see. Maybe the Ring camera picks up audio. Well, it wasn't functioning, so yeah, no. What if they removed it to throw the police off? Yeah, okay, so this is more the staging concept. It's just, having worked a lot of cases, I just think this is too much damn work. Again, it's better to make it a home invasion. Home invasion is much easier and more realistic than to do that. And on top of it, removing the camera actually would be more likely. Let's think about this. If you were a relative and you were going to abduct your own mother or mother-in-law or kill her and then try to take her out and stage an abduction, wouldn't taking the camera make it more likely that they think, hey, they were worried they'd be recognized on camera, their vehicle would be recognized on camera, so wouldn't that actually point to them? See, so they wouldn't take it to stage. They'd take it to prevent being identified. And that's part of what I'm going to get into. It was removed, not broken. So a lot of people think it's a stage. I don't know why all of you think it's a stage crime scene. That's interesting. I would like to know from all of you who thinks it's a stage crime scene. I want to know why you think that. Maybe it already recorded. It didn't work. It did not function. It didn't have a recording methodology. So the point is, the person who did that did not know that. They might have thought the camera was functional. Some cameras have that. Yeah. Again, we don't know all the details, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Blood is out front. There is blood on the doorstep. I don't know how that has anything to do with staging. Okay, let's see. Rosie says, I think it was true kidnapping rather than a murder. Asking, we don't hear the, okay, this is a good point. If it were a true kidnapping rather than a murder, especially if asking for millions, the kidnapper would be loud and persistent. We don't hear about that, neither do we see proof of life. That is true. Okay. Here's the problem I have with first of all, I just don't know why she's being murdered by a family member. And then this huge rigmarole put up there. When I say it could be just a simple home invasion. When you commit a crime like this, you want less speculation than more speculation. You want less tentacles out that can come back to you. Now, supposedly the whole methodology of contacting was it was really well done through all kinds of different machinations so we can't exactly see where the contact is coming from. So somebody knew what they were doing electronically. And why did they go to TMZ and supposedly other outlets, although all I've ever heard about is TMZ. And TMZ is interesting, by the way. I want to point that out. Who goes to TMZ? Now, TMZ is not something an older person goes to. I'm just saying. We're not so into TMZ. That's kind of a young people, Hollywood gossip bullshit channel, okay? That throws out a lot of crap that half the time is not valid. But anyway, it's a fun channel for people, but they tend to be in their 30s or younger. So I tend to think that because TMZ was targeted, now some people say TMZ was targeted because they don't know how to shut up, which is a good point too. They wanted the information out there. They wanted the family to be contacted. So this was a great way that it was going to happen. Put a lot of media coverage, which is true. But again, if you just wanted to kill off your mom or mother-in-law, this is a very risky methodology to take rather than a home invasion, fake home invasion. So on top of that, by the way, if you kill off your mother-in-law or your mother, and then you have to put her in your own vehicle and take her away, then that, mind you, the police did check on the vehicle of because there was supposedly somebody, a family member that took her home. They are checking on the vehicle of the daughter and her husband, which they have to do, again, due diligence. But that's a kind of stupid thing to do. Put your mother who's bleeding into your own vehicle and then try to pretend somebody else kidnapped her. It just to me doesn't really, I may be wrong. I mean, maybe you're all right, but it doesn't really ring true to me. The problem I have is that the whole thing looks very planned. And here's what I see. Somebody seems to me to have had access to the house that Now, I don't know the truth about the floodlights being not, damaged so that maybe the light wouldn't show. But I believe somebody did access the house in the wee hours of the night. I mean, it was wee hours of the morning. Now, it was a very short period of time. But when somebody came in, somebody disabled the light, the camera, took her out of there, and then obviously she left the area because her pacemaker would no longer contact her phone, which was in the house. So that's why we don't know where she went to, and that just stopped because she was driven out of the area. So the pacemaker was in the house. Her Apple Watch was there. So that stuff was still in the house. Her medications were still in the house. So we have somebody who appeared to plan to get into her house. And this, by the way, there's a lot of ways to get into a house. And we haven't heard clearly about breaking and entering issues, whether there was evidence of staging of breaking and entering, which is different than staging of the abduction. For example, let's say you had access to her house in previous weeks. Let's say you were a housekeeper, pool person, you came to do work on the house, came to fix a toilet, you came to fix the roof, whatever the hell you were there for. You've been in the house. One of the things that can happen when people have been in the house, which people never think about, is you go to the bathroom. The handyman or whatever goes to the bathroom. And while he's in the bathroom, he unlocks the window. And later on, he comes back into the window and relocks it. Then it looks like he didn't access it that way. And then sometimes what you want to do is make it look like a break-in because you don't want the police to think that you had knowledge of the house and access to the house without breaking. So it had to be somebody who didn't have that, and that therefore they broke in. So you could stage a break-in issue without actually having, for that reason. That could be the reason you do it. Now, once you're in the house, if you're abducting her, one of the questions will be, if you knew she was on medication, if you were familiar with that, why wouldn't you take the medication with you so she could stay alive long enough to do the proof of life video that you need to do to get the big money? That's a good question. Now, I don't know where she kept her medication. I don't know if the person knew she was on medication. So this is just because a person might come to the house to do work doesn't mean they know she's on medication. If the medication is especially not outside, it's like a drawer or something, they may not even know it. I don't know where her medication was. I would like to know that, to know where the medication was. They might not know she had a pacemaker. And so it may be that they thought she was perfectly fine at the time that they took her. Now, how they took her, she was obviously bleeding. There's some stories about her blood might be being in the house somewhere, and I don't know. Again, I don't have the inside information. But let's say they hit her. They tried to, she's 84 years old. You wouldn't think you have to do much to control an 84-year-old woman who's in fragile condition. But let's say they hit her to knock her out because they're going to carry her out of the house, unconscious. I think that's what happened. When they carried her out of the house, if you go back to if they carried her out of the house, and I'm saying if, because again, this is one of the reasons that they might have put a blanket around her and then carried her out of the house. It's dark outside, and that blood hits the ground because they're carrying her and but I also think that person may be standing there. Why? Because if you take the camera away, my belief is they took the camera out so that it would not video a vehicle pulling up to the house. That this freaking place is bloody well isolated. I mean, you could let's look at a better picture. Okay, let's see this one. It's a pretty isolated location. Now, you could park further away in the bushes or something, but so you could park out on the street and carry her all the way down the drive. You could do that, or you could knock the camera out and pull the car up direct to the front and just carry her out of the house so that nobody on the street sees you carrying a body out to a car. So if you kill the camera, then you're not worried about your vehicle being seen on the camera as you're staying. So I kind of wonder, if I were coming up with a scenario, whether one person was accessed the house, snuck up on her, hit her in the head, took her the blankets around her, just carried her out of the house, stood on let the person know, bring the car around, stood there on the basically at the front of the house, not moving, drip, drip, drip. And the car pulls up and they put the body on the what they thought was a live person in the car, which she may still be been alive, and then drove away. And then because who knows whether she expired at the time they hit her, that she expired later on from lack of meds because they didn't move very quickly on proof of life. Maybe she wasn't alive, and they have that problem. And what we see from Savannah Guthrie when they put this new video out on Saturday, she'd been missing a week. They said, "We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us." She doesn't say alive, so that we can celebrate with her. Celebrate. I'm almost wondering if to celebrate her death, celebration of life. You know how you have that. This is the only way we will have peace. She's asking for peace, not for reunification with a live mother. This is very valuable to us. Well, it'll be more valuable to have your mother alive. And she's not saying, please prove she's alive, so we want her back alive. She said, this is very valuable to us and we will pay. It seems to me she wants the body of her mother back. It could be an abduction for a ransom gone bad. That she was a little bit more fragile than they thought when they abducted her, and she died, and they're like screwed. That's why they didn't know what the hell to do. How are we going to send proof of life when she's not alive? So they're like trying to figure it out. And then they figure, well, we can get some money off of her anyway, one way or the other. Now, that is my personal belief as to a better scenario than other scenarios I can come up with. Now, also, I find this kind of interesting. The notes, I don't know any of this is valid. So again, we're talking about information. I have no idea whether it's legitimate. One reportedly stated Nancy was, quote, okay, but scared. That's a kind of unusual thing to say. Okay, but scared. Almost sounds female to me. So I don't know if there's a male-female couple. Male going into the house, the female driving the car. Just don't know. But I don't think the abduction was staged to look like an abduction because it was a murder. There's just too many. Again, she wasn't in good health. She wasn't going to be around that long. There's really no good reason to murder her and she's probably not going to be around for another year or two. Secondly, there's easier ways to stage a murder than this whole freaking abduction thing. That's outrageous. Now, I will say this. If she didn't have enough money and you're murdering her and have no intention of her being alive because she can identify you, because she knows who you are, then you murdered her purposely, carried her away. Then you go after Savannah for $6 million. So you're a pretty crappy relative if you're doing that. But could that be true? That would be. It's possible. It's still essentially an abduction for the purposes of getting a ransom. It's just that you don't want the victim to be alive because she can identify you. In general, that could be true, but the downtime between when she was abducted and supposedly we're going to contact you on Thursday and then contact you on Monday again and no proof of life, I wonder whether they didn't expect her to die on them, and that kind of screwed the plan up. Here's something else. Somebody had an ability to understand that they needed to remove that camera. Somebody very, very careful about leaving evidence in the house. Somebody was very careful about their contacts with Savannah to get this ransom money. Somebody had some skills. Let's put it that way. Somebody had some skills. I know some people are asking because the proximity in Arizona fairly close to Mexico, whether it could have anything to do with Mexicans. There is an issue in Mexico with certain cartels kidnapping people to then extort money from the family. This seems to be a little extreme for that. Again, the TMZ use kind of makes me go, kind of doesn't seem like a Mexican cartel thing to me. Some people say, would you think she was spirited away to Mexico? Absolutely not. I do think she's not alive. I think that I don't know that. I don't think they planned to kill her. I do think this was an abduction for the purposes of ransom. But again, as I say, as a profiler and a proper investigator, I would say I would be 80% that this was truly an abduction, because she is a wealthy woman. They thought they took her mom, they could get a lot of money off of her. Somebody with some crazy idea. And I think maybe it didn't go quite what they planned. And I would say, if you're going to go with the 20% that is somebody that she knew, one of her relatives, decided they wanted to, again, the money they would get through inheritance, I don't think is legitimate, because, again, she's quite elderly and in bad health. So they would literally have to be going out to Savannah for the money. They would have to be torturing their own sister or sister-in-law to get money by killing her own mother and their own mother. That's kind of unlikely. I'm just saying, it seems a little extreme to me. But let's go back to some of your comments. All right. Let's see. Sheriff is showboating. Don't worry about the sheriff. He's a local guy. He's doing what he can. He's way in probably over his head. Let's see. Don't kidnappers usually want to contact you right away? True. It does seem off, but maybe it's because she died on him and they didn't know what to do. So one of the problems people have with cases like this is that they expect that the simple answers. There aren't often not simple answers. That's why we have a thing called an investigative team. That's why people out here speculating on the internet, just going crazy on, oh, this person did, this person did, oh my God, it's staged, it's not, all that stuff. This is what the investigators are working on, because they're using their brains to say, we have not an absolute answer, because there's so many details, and there's so many details we do not know. I personally couldn't come up with an absolute answer. I will say that at this point in time, it still looks to me like an abduction. And I don't see why a family member, it doesn't make a lot of sense that this was a staged abduction, because I can't come up with a logical reason why they wouldn't have staged it as a home invasion, or why they would do that to then get $6 million off her. It just seems, I don't know, man. But maybe they'll find out something really crazy about some relatives, in which case, maybe some of you who think it's staged as a family member is correct. But I don't have enough evidence to go there at this point in time at all. So I just want to, wait a minute, let me roll down here. Oh, so many comments. I can't even keep up with it. Wow. Hold on a second, guys. I know some of you have very, very kindly supported this channel, and I can't figure out where I don't usually do these open lives, so I'm not I can't figure out how you do that. Wow. Isn't that, okay. This lovely person. Thank you, Brandy, very much. I appreciate that. I see some other contributions here, and I can't figure out how to click on them and have them show up on the screen. Why not? Why doesn't that show up on the screen? But Cindy, oh man, why can't I see that? Cindy says, I just have to say it. Thank you for your contribution, Pat. Where were they? Why were they in the house for over 40 minutes? That's a good question. Well, first disabling the camera, and then maybe doing something to her, and then calling the car around. I personally think there's two people involved at this point. Time can go pretty quickly, and they are in isolated location, so I don't know that they're in a huge rush. Now, there was some commentator someplace, some law enforcement guy, who thought that they took the camera off to test whether law enforcement would show up. I'm like, what? Or whether anybody would respond. Who does that? You don't want people to respond. You want people to not respond. So that makes zero sense to me. So, but depending on what they were involved in, again, nothing was stolen that I know of. Maybe they originally tried to abduct her by gunpoint and say, come on with us. Maybe she fought back. Sometimes people 84 years old fight back like you wouldn't believe. Maybe they were surprised that she fought back, and they hit her, and then they're like, ah, crap, now what? I mean, shit goes wrong on these kind of things. People think, when you commit these kind of crimes, is this the first time you ever committed this kind of crime? You think you're brilliant and you come up with a way to do it. It may not be that bright a way to do it. Dogs discussion. Thank you very much for your kind support as well. And I can't make these show up on the screen. I don't know what the problem is. That's so weird. I thought when you clicked on, oh shoot, now I can't, now, wait a minute. I thought when you clicked on it, because it shows up these little contributions up at the top. And when I click on it, I see it, but okay. Sarah says, glass, thank you for your contribution again, Sarah. Glass in front, broken inside, on the top of blood. Okay. Glass in front, broken inside. Now, I don't know that I looked that up, Sarah, and I'm not sure the accuracy of that. I just don't know. It's on top of the blood. So theoretically, somebody held her, she was bleeding on the outside, and then glass was broken on top of the blood. Did somebody go back in and then stage that place was broken into? I don't know. I'm not saying that staging couldn't have occurred, but I'm saying what kind of staging are we talking about is the issue. Are they staging for the purposes of making it look like they had no knowledge of the place before and somebody completely broke in? Are they trying to say, okay, are they trying to completely fake a stage, some kind of break-in so that it wouldn't look like a family member? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you'd stage a break-in, but it doesn't mean that it's a family member. And why they would do this, again, I don't know about the glass being absolutely on top of the blood. I don't know. I haven't seen any verification of that. I've heard about some broken glass in the kitchen or something. I don't know. I've heard these different things, and I just don't have the knowledge of it to go forth and say the police have stated this and therefore it is true. I don't know. But could there be a reason there's glass on top? There could be. The person could go back in and say, well, I should just break this window, make it look like not a relative, or break this window so it looks like I didn't work at this place a week before. I had other ways to access it. I don't know. I don't know the exact answer to that. I wish I did, but I don't. I just cannot come up with a good reason why you would go through staging this fake abduction, a fake ransom. To the extent that they're doing it, they could have just sent some letter, some letter to Savannah with, the letters cut out of a magazine or some shit like that, and sent her a letter, said, we got your mom. Just put so much money in a place. Why go through TMZ? Why are they doing all this? So either they're doing this because it's a thrill, or they're doing this because they really think they can get some money off of her. But it's a hell of a thing to have. It's just a lot of work. So I'm not quite sure why. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you very much. I wish I could figure out a way to get these on the screen. And thank you, Emily. And whoa, thank you very much, Deception Detective. You're wonderful. Been waiting for your take on this. Oh, thank you, Deception Detective. Go check out Deception Detective, folks. He's great. And this is from Liz. Thank you very much. I'm going to go back and look for what the heck happened to these. I've got so many comments. I just don't know how it works. And I'm trying to locate them, and I can't find them. Maybe because I've got hundreds of comments here, so it's kind of gone nutty. I'm gonna scroll down now. Oh, look, I found one. Oh, there we go. See, now this one I found. Annabelle, which is the name of my granddaughter. Is that my granddaughter? She's only 12. Is she coming up with this? Why were they in her home for 40 minutes? Okay, there you go. That's what you asked before. You think the ransom notes are a ruse? Yeah, but again, why? What is the purpose of all of this? And why go to that extent with the ransom notes on TMZ and places like that? I know. I think this is what is confounding people, and it's confounding the investigators as well. So don't think that investigation is all about and profiling is all about just having this light bulb pop on and you exactly know what happened. You don't until you can get all the pieces of evidence. Because what the hell? Why would this be a ruse? What's the purpose? So some people think that this is, I think, the thing they got off of Ashley Banfield, that son-in-law drove mommy home and got in an argument with her for some reason and attacked her. And then she was lying there dying or whatever and dead. And so then he's like, oh, what the hell do I do? So he decides, because mind you, this all happened, the actual thing went down in the early morning hours, not when he dropped her off. So then what did he do? Decide, okay, she's lying on the floor and she's non-functional. I'm going to come back and stage a kidnapping. And then wouldn't we see some evidence of, I don't know what the police have on the inside of the house, whether there's more blood evidence or, pooled blood evidence. I just don't know. Because when we see the drops of blood outside the house, we don't know if she was walking out, as some people think, or she was carried out. And depending, blood can, even if the person's dead, you can just have wet blood that can still drop, But is that how we deal with it? I mean, I'd like to know what kind of guy he is to deal with something like that. Again, I would turn it into a home invasion. I wouldn't turn it into an abduction and carry her body away and then do all the fake ransom notes. That's a heck of a lot of work and very, very risky to do all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I find that hard to believe. I'll find one more here. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate this, Brandy. I want people to understand more a case of why have a body if you can get 6 million in crypto? Usually people want to believe they're going to get their loved one back alive, which is why they'll give the ransom money, although it almost never works. But wanting the body back, just at this point, if she's dead, and wanting to get, people have a thing about burying people and having a closure that way, and so maybe they can't get 6 million. Maybe they're asking for a reduced number. I don't know. A lot of this stuff again is behind the scenes. You plan the abduction for ransom, but you wait 3 days to ask for it and then send ransom requests to TMZ. It's weird. No one's questioning that. It isn't bizarre. But it's also bizarre if you were if you were trying to cover up an accidental murder, or let's say you plan to abduct her with a concept of murdering her so that she couldn't identify you, and then you were going to get this ransom money. The same thing applies all the way around, whether it's a true abduction or a staged abduction. The same problem occurs. I mean, why go to all that work, and why do all that unless you actually think? Who knows? This is true. She could have struggled and they hit her and she had severe injuries. That could be. And of course she's elderly and she's got blood thinner things going on. So that her chances of dying rapidly are bigger than for somebody who may be younger and tougher. Thank you very much. You're awesome, Pat. Good for you for knowing when to put a stop to nonsense. Well, I like to have people to understand things that make it in a rational sense, use logic, and then not come to absolute conclusions. I mean, because we can't, because again, we're outside the investigation. We do not know. I could be inside the investigation right now and be rolling my eyes going, well, now that I know this, I know exactly what happened, but I don't because I'm not inside. Oh, so here's Sarah's. I just want to say that. Windows broken inside out. Yes, that does look like it would be a staged thing. But what's the point at that? What's the point? So that it looks like somebody didn't have access to the house. Could be. But it doesn't tell us why the person wanted to make it look that way. It just doesn't. Somebody could have a key to the house. It could be a worker who has a key to the house and doesn't want people to think they have a key to the house. Therefore, let's say a worker, I'm not saying this is true. Let's say a worker has a husband. Let's say, I don't know who works at that house. So I'm not trying to trash the people who ever worked for her, because most of us have people working for us. I have cleaners that come to my house. I've had handyman come to the house, although one was sketchy as hell. But anyway, he was out of the Virginia pen just recently before I hired him. Anyway, he was cheap. But generally speaking, the thing is, a lot of times you have people come to your house to do all kinds of things. They could be fixing plumbing. They could be fixing your roof. They could be doing this. They could be doing that. You don't really know who they are. And even if you've had them come a while, you don't know if they got some sketchy relatives or a sketchy husband or whatever. And then somebody could say, hey, we got the key to the house. Or maybe they didn't have the key to the house. Maybe they picked the key up and had it copied. And now they have a key to the house. Maybe they left the window open. but they want people to believe that it was a break-in because they don't want the police looking at them because they're like, hey, didn't you have access to the house? Well, yeah, I did. So why would I do a break-in? See? So it could be that it is not a family member. It is a person who had access to the house, but wanted to make it look like they didn't have access to the house. So that can be staging, but the staging doesn't necessarily mean one thing or the other. And that's what you have to keep in mind. Keep an open mind. Could be a relative, could be a worker. It could be, sometimes weird crap happens too. For whatever reasons, we don't even know. And sometimes after a person is actually arrested and convicted, they'll actually tell us what thing happened. And you think, well, wait a minute, you got into the house and you carried out and put it in the car, and then you went back to close the door and you thought you should kick the window in. And therefore the glass went out on top of the blood. I mean, I'm just making up stuff here, but these are things that can happen. And we're like we don't expect that, so therefore, we don't know. Let me roll down here a little bit. So many comments. Let's see. Goodness gracious. There's a lot of comments. Okay. I'm trying to get to the bottom so I can then go back up. Oh, wait a minute. There's some lovely people who supported the channel. I just want to thank you guys again. The Weasel, thank you very much. I like weasels. And Dogs Discussion, thank you very much. See, they put these things in the comments, but they don't realize that the comments go by so fast. It's hard to see. And this is the 40 minutes one. Thank you, Cindy. I wish they put them up at top, but then when you do that, they won't pop up on the screen, which I find very annoying because I know I want to thank people, and it makes it difficult. So I just saw this one come in. Linda. Oh, this is a good question. Linda, thank you very much for your support for the channel. Again, if I could put it up on the screen, I could find it, I would. Why didn't they leave the ransom note at the house when they abducted her? Thank you, Pat. Have a drink on me. I appreciate that. I may. It's Super Bowl day, so I'm actually probably going to go try to watch a Super Bowl here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I've got Cheeseburger in Paradise as my place to go watch the Super Bowl, but I don't know if I can get in time. But anyway, I will definitely do that. Why didn't leave a note at the scene? That is one way to do it. I mean, one can leave if it's prepared, planned. You can leave a note at the scene. Sometimes people do that, but a lot of times they send the notes later on. Send the notes through the mail, the ransom requests through the mail, or these days they can send them electronically. Rarely do they send them through the media. So that is kind of like the thing. You just go, what? Why TM? I'm boggled by the TMZ issue. I really am. The TMZ to me is a big clue, and I just don't know who has obsessed with TMZ. Who knows TMZ well enough to think this is a great way to contact? Why did they contact the Today Show? Why did they contact the show that Savannah's on? I think she's on Today right now, but I'm not sure. Why not contact her through her own media outlet? Why contact the TMZ? I don't know the answer to that, except the person who has a thing for TMZ. But they could have left one at the scene. It's true. But they could have sent one in the mail, or they could have. There's all ways they could have done it. Of course, the question, it's always very difficult to get money these days. I mean, the old method where you had to drop, $1 million in a paper bag in a trash can and have no police present, and then so that the kidnapper could roll up and grab the paper bag. I mean, those days are over. So doing things like this, cryptocurrency, doing things through the internet, I'm not very smart on how all that works. So I don't even want to trample over there and try to say, oh, that's how it works and that's why they're doing it. But somebody has to know how it works. Either they know how it works and they can accomplish it, or they don't know how it works, and this is a big, huge publicity ruse. But again, what would be the purpose? Is it possible somebody just wants a cheap-ass thrill? It's a weird, cheap-ass thrill. It really is. I mean, but that's what the police have to look at all the possible suspects at this point. It's kind of crazy. How old? Oh, well, they have to be very careful about this kind of stuff. A lot of times FBI profiles will say, oh, they're probably between 25 and 35 years old because that's your major age for crime or criminal record. Then they'll go, well, they probably have some criminal record. I don't know. I've got not a clue. And because there's no evidence that proves anything, I can't say. What I can say is I think they can drive a car. So they're old enough to drive a car. They're smart enough to dismantle a camera and have some clue of what they're doing, not to leave evidence. They're smart enough. They've figured out how to contact without getting caught at this point. And they're into TMZ. The TMZ thing, will, for me, lowers the age just a little bit. Now, mind you, but again, I can't say absolutely, because here's the problem that we run into, and this is where people jump to conclusions. You can put it in a, let's look more closely at people who are the age that watch TMZ. And like, for example, for my group, the people that watch me, they tend to be more female and they tend to be older females. I don't get a lot of very young females watching me, or young males watching me, or males. That's my demographic. So if somebody was like stalking me, it would probably be a woman between the age of 40 and 60. That would be the demographic. Does that mean it couldn't be a young man? No. Or a young woman? No. Because you get the anomalies. For example, let's say a vehicle is stolen. And the vehicle stolen was the person that the vehicle belonged to was a young black man, and his radio was tuned to a rap station. And then when they find the vehicle, there's a CD. This actually has a CD player in it. This guy's got an old car. There's a CD player in it, and they turn on that music from the CD player, and it turns out to be Bollywood music. Bollywood. So you say, hey, an Indian guy must have stolen this vehicle because Bollywood's Indian music, right? But I'm a Bollywood fan. I'm a huge Bollywood fan. I got a lot of, once upon a time I had a lot of CDs, Bollywood CDs. Now I just, I do it on internet. But I had a lot of Bollywood CDs. Maybe I stole the car and put mine. So maybe it was an older white woman because I'd be an anomaly. Would it most likely be an Indian dude who stole the car and put the CD in there? Yes. But there's always an anomaly. So you have to keep that in mind. Yeah, the problem is the phone. Once she was out of range of the phone, it no longer tracked the pacemaker, and therefore we don't know what happened to her after that. Oh, you're saying I don't agree with that. I guess she's screaming at the front door and they hit her in the face. You'll probably see more blood spatter pattern. I don't see any blood spatter pattern at that point. Now, again, I don't know what photos we're not seeing. Maybe there's something in the door frame. Maybe there's something inside that looks like blood spatter, but I don't see any evidence of it. So the blood on the ground is drops, not blood spatter. So, but a good thought. Someone's family member was kidnapped and they got no justice and no airtime. It's possible they want to get attention. That is probably not likely. I mean, you're not going to go kidnap somebody else's mother because you didn't get attention. I find that an unlikely theory. You can consider it, but unlikely theory. Honeybee, it just seems like a kidnapping is such a difficult crime to carry off. It would take either a very confident or a very naive person to attempt it. To have to engage a family, Ellie, and hide your identity. I agree with that. Either you're very, very confident, or you're just think you're overconfident. It could be overconfident. Generally speaking, when you see a thing like this, you would see something a lot less fancy, shall we say. Somebody just breaks into the home, grabs her. You see a vehicle fleeing the scene. People dressed in black with a complete ski mask over their faces, and then maybe they try send some kind of whatever ransom request or make a phone call or whatever. Yeah, you would think it would be more like that. So this is a little fancy. It is. It's a kind of fancy, and you wonder why. Um, and here's Liz. Thank you, Liz, very much. Now I see it coming through here. And there's Deception Detective. Thank you, Deception Detective. Oh, finally, I'm seeing them. They're down toward the bottom. Thank you, Emily. Wow. The kidnapping is even on the news in the UK, although I've never heard of Savannah and her mother. Well, it definitely is it's a very U.S. thing for people who watch a lot of morning television. Today's Show being a very popular morning television show. I think that's where she is right now. But I haven't really kept up with it myself because I left television a while ago and I'm just doing YouTube. So what do I know? Let's see. They took a piece of drywall. Did they really? I see. I just don't know. Again, I don't know if they're at her sister's house and taking the car and drywall and a whole bunch of other stuff. You would wonder that there's not some involvement of that couple, but but I don't know how much of this is true, and I don't know how much it is due diligence. So I refuse to jump to the conclusion yet that a family relative is involved. It's a pretty extreme for a family relative. I'm trying to figure out why this would be something they would do. Now, maybe, for example, a lot of times if you look into histories of people, then you find some interesting history, and you go, "Whoa, wow!" There's a reason to look over here. But then again, maybe there isn't. Maybe they're just regular people, and there's no reason to look over there. So that's why I won't jump to that. There's zero way of knowing that, Sherry. She knew and trusted the kidnapper. No, there's absolutely no reason to believe that. This is why I talk about profiling as based on evidence. There is zero reason to know whether she knew the person, whether she trusted the person, or whether she was just conked in the head and out of it. There's nothing in the evidence that shows us any of that at all. I mean, somebody doesn't need. So you're saying if somebody showed up at whatever, I forgot what it was now, what time in the morning it was. I have it written. I have it somewhere here. So the timeline. Let's see. Let's go for the timeline again. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's not there. I'm trying to go back to my. So in other words, she was dropped off. Something maybe happened or didn't happen. So you're saying that a family member shows up in the middle of the night, knocks on the door somehow. She answers it, or maybe whatever, and then she's like, she gets harmed somehow. Maybe she accidentally gets hurt, and so they lead her to the car and say, "Hey, well, Mom, we're gonna take you over to our house and take care of it." She says, "Okay," and then they take her over to their house, and then they decide to. But why is the camera missing? so it has to be planned. The cameras were moved. So there's a plan here. It doesn't seem accidental to me. It seems like a very much of a plan. So I don't see why there's no proof that she knew who took her, except for maybe if they killed her, she might have known them. But I don't see any reason that we would say anybody trusted her, that she trusted her kidnappers. People don't trust kidnappers. I'm not quite sure I understand that. I think I might have said thank you, Liz, but I'll say it again. So again, it could be true, but there's no evidence that says that. I never want to not live independently. Her age is not a reason to not live alone. Besides, she had family 10 minutes away. Yeah, I mean, anybody can get killed in their house. First of all, I don't care if you're 60 or 40 or 20. 20-year-olds are killed in their house all the time by serial killers. I mean, you know what I mean? A home invasion. Being young doesn't save you from getting murdered. Okay, so big dogs and a gun might help you not get murdered. But your age, are you more vulnerable because of your age? You could be if they know you're older, you could be more vulnerable. For example, some budding serial killers will pick the next door neighbor lady who is 84 years old to rape and murder. Why? Well, first, they don't have a car, so they can't drive anyplace. And secondly, they're like, oh, that little old lady next door, she's not going to put up a fight. So they think they can go and rape and murder her, which does happen. interesting enough, sometimes the 84-year-olds are the ones that actually fight back harder. Like they have a cane and they start beating the crap out of the guy attacking him. There was one case where a woman actually beat him enough that he was begging for mercy, and she was able to get the police over there to arrest him. It was pretty amazing. She was pissed, So, and my mother-in-law, bless her heart, she's no longer with us, but she kept a hand weight underneath the bed, a barbell underneath her pillow. And she was from Jamaica, so she had massively strong arms because she did a lot of work when she was in Jamaica. And even though she was bedridden most of the time, she could reach under her pillow, and she would show me how she would whack that guy in the head. So sometimes you can manage to take care of yourself. The debt thing is an issue. Would the police look at the financial situation of all the family members? Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, why stage an abduction if you can just stage a home invasion? It's too freaking much work. In reality, most people don't do things that are more difficult than they need to do. I mean, quite frankly, wouldn't a home invasion look more likely? Trash the place, steal a few things, break a window, from the outside, make it look like a home invasion. Then you have to go through kidnapping her and all this stuff. And then of course here's the other thing. You got to prove she's dead to collect the inheritance, right? Isn't that like 7 years? So, I'll have to wait till she's supposedly 91 years old before we can collect the money. That's stupid. So why would you want her to disappear? So no, I mean, I just don't think the inheritance thing, that doesn't ring right to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't ring right to me. Are her abductors psychopaths? Yes. you know me, Beth of a Salesman. I love that name. Anybody who does this kind of thing, in my opinion, is psychopathic, because normal, healthy human beings don't do this terrible thing. They just don't. It is a weird one. It's not easily solved. Now, we don't know if the police are stumped or the police already know stuff and just can't tell you, because people always go, well, we have the right to know. No, you don't. You got zero right to know. You public people, all of us out here, we have zero right to know a damn thing. The only person that has a right to know anything would be the family. And at times, the family doesn't even have a right to know, because the police have to conduct their investigation, not spill information out that would mess up the investigation. Especially if it were another family member, definitely they wouldn't do it then. But even so, there's things that they can't say. Now, I would personally like to know what the actual ransom demand said. I know how the Unabomber was basically outed by his brother, and the police never wanted to release the dang letter that he wrote. But when they did, the Unabomber's brother's like, yo, that's my brother, because he recognized the way he spoke, what was in there. And when the DC snipers were out there, I wish I had known what that letter sounded like, some of the things that were put out there, because since I was married to a Jamaican for 25 years, one of the snipers was Jamaican, and I recognized Jamaican writing and grammar, and I would go, oh yeah, that's Jamaican dude. So I would like to know what was in that ransom demand. What was the structure of what were the words used? What was the grammar? Would somebody recognize it as a family member who speaks just like that? Would they recognize whether it was a person had maybe a first language that was not English? Would they recognize that? It could be these little things, and they're not putting it out public. Maybe because a lot of times they want to protect the investigation. Sometimes I think that's a mistake, but I don't know if it is a mistake because I'm not inside the investigation. So I don't know. They said they didn't put it out public because they want to protect the family from, I don't know what the heck, I don't even know what that even means. Protect the family in what way? Because it's sad. I mean, I don't understand the meaning of that claim. They could protect the integrity of the investigation, yes, but I don't know how that would emotionally affect the family and whether that would be a valid reason. But they might have their reasons. They may be working with the family to try to find a way to bring the mother home, dead or alive, and they're just or ways to stall so they can try to get the abductors to respond so they can catch them. They've got their eye on the family. This is another point. They do have the eye on the family from the beginning. So if the person is operating in a way that they're still contacting Savannah and the family, then how are they doing that if they have the police all over them? So that's another issue. But it is an interesting one that we don't know the answers to yet. Thank you, Carolina. A fellow true crime theory. Okay. Glad you brought this one up, Diana. What do you think about the perpetrator using Ng's own car to remove her from her property, taking her elsewhere, leaving her there, and returning her car to the garage? I'm glad you brought that up because, yes, it's a possibility. So could they have done that? Yes, and that would be interesting because it would keep her blood in the car and not in their own car. So, yes, let's say they disabled the camera. So then no one would see them taking the car and returning the car. So they could do that, take her someplace, dump her, and then bring the car back and then sneak away and get in their own vehicle, which could be down the street. Yeah, that is a possibility. And that may be why they're going to look at that car too. So and again, what just because they look at something doesn't mean they find something. But if they find something, that piece of information, let's say they do check out her own car and find there's blood in it because she's bleeding. So the blood has to go someplace. Now, if she's in a wrap, like if she's got a blanket around her, maybe they figured out, oh, she's bleeding and wrap her up better. And maybe they got the car washed and all that stuff. But there might be blood someplace because she's bleeding. And so they're going to be looking for that blood. Where is the blood trail? If it's not on the driveway, is it in a vehicle? What vehicle is it in? And so they're going to be checking those things out. And that's going to be very interesting. Maybe they were inside for 40 minutes trying to get into a safe they thought existed, but she kept saying didn't exist. I'm making up a scenario. Give me her gold. Yeah. She's not likely to have necessarily a big, it doesn't look like she's got riches in the safe, but you never do know what they might think when they're in the house. It's true. It depending on who knows her. Again, if it's a relative who knows her, could they know she's got something in the safe worth taking? It's possible. So here you come up with another scenario. You can come up with it. So they know Ma has $50,000 worth of cash in the safe, and they go and get it. They tell her to open the safe up. Maybe she refuses and they get mad. It's possible. Maybe a stranger does the same thing. Maybe they say, hey, where have you got your stuff hidden? And she either gives them the stuff or she doesn't give them the stuff. It's possible. But then why the whole ransom demand thing? To me, the whole ransom demand thing is a lot of work that, again, if you can leave it at a home invasion, I think it would be the easier way to go. And also leave her body there, for God's sakes. If you hit her over the head and she dies there, just let her lay there. Taking her away with you is a lot of work. So, if as long as your blood isn't on top of her, then you're good. So why take her body? So, as I say, people do less work than they do as little work as they have to. Please stop doing stupid Epstein stuff. It's just retarded. Don't do that. I'm sorry. I just get really annoyed. Bringing the politics in and all these stupid theories is just, if you do that and you come here and do that, the problem is with you. You got a problem. And it's unacceptable. And you might have a personality disorder. There is not a verification that there's been a break-in. No. Yes, I think that is possible. She could have died and they couldn't figure out what the hell to do. Proof of life. Crap. What do we do? Is it a weekend of Bernie's? I mean, do you prop her up? I mean, you got AI these days. Maybe they could have done that, but thinking of Mexican gang members. It does happen. There is the issue of kidnapping in Mexico. I spent a lot of time in Mexico, and I love Mexico very much. Um, are there issues of kidnapping in Mexico? Yes, there is. So this could be an extension of that. I just think the whole some of the methodologies seem unlikely unless what we have is some people working for her who are from Mexico or have relatives from Mexico and maybe been involved in some cartel kind of activities or kidnapping kind of activities, have knowledge of those kind of things, and also just happen to have very good skills with getting things through Bitcoin. Usually the Mexican kidnappers don't do the Bitcoin thing. So, but it's something that one would have to look at just for the sake of it. No, that is not true. I can't. Believe it or not. No, if I click on it at the top of they come up on top, and when I click on them, they don't show up. At least they don't show up on my end. I can only, when I click on it, when it's in the comment area, then it shows up. But that's really annoying because I don't get that. Maybe I'll have to do a Google search on that. I don't do live shows very often, so it's a little weird for me. And that is also true. Mexican cartel kidnappings usually stay inside Mexico. Yeah, they're also usually kidnapping other Mexicans, like wealthy businessmen's kids and stuff like that. Or maybe it might be somebody from Mexico who's moved to the United States. They have a business in the United States. They're making good money. Yeah, they're successful. And then their kid is still down there or visiting in Mexico, and they grab them when they're visiting in Mexico. So, yeah, that is probably mostly true. Yes, that is correct. Where'd they go? Just lost that one. Huh. Things go by so quickly. That's a good point. I would think they planned it since they can't trace the email ransom. It seems planned to me. I find that hard to believe this is a cover-up of something gone wrong. We have no idea because we don't know about the evidence inside the house. And therefore, we cannot speculate because we absolutely do not have a clue. So we have to let it go until they determine that. Could it be bigger than an abduction? Savannah was scheduled to be at the Olympics. Yeah. Maybe look at what Savannah's withdrawal opened up for someone. Yeah, that's absolutely unlikely. Okay, these big conspiracy theories where, I wanted to be the person to go to the Olympics, so I'll have somebody kidnap her mother so she can't show up. Nah, it's good for Hollywood. If I were writing a book, yeah. But in real life, one of the things I always point out as a profiler is a lot of people have these great ideas, but it's not how things work. In real life, it's not how things work. Now, are there, again, anomalies? Yes, there are anomalies that are so screwy that you go, whoa, didn't see that one coming. But that's why they're called anomalies. But for the most part, that's not how things work. So the police, for the most part, are going to be focusing on their experiences in life and why people do these kind of things. They're going to focus on what is most likely first before they go off on an anomaly thing. Although, again, not having a television, so it's good to keep the anomaly thing at least open, because I've been surprised before. And I'm like, well, glad I didn't comment on that case. I wouldn't have gone well. Well, this is true. She obviously didn't leave on her own accord. She wouldn't have climbed up and disabled and removed the cameras. There is a fact, and that's perfectly reasonable. And the police immediately said she didn't leave on her own, and that's for sure. So, I don't get why people find Annie so suspicious. Well, this is a problem. A lot of people do a thing called they look at behavioral clues and facial clues and all this kind of stuff. Now, sometimes if it's done properly and well done, there can be something to it. But you have to understand, first of all, you have to be experienced in the field. And secondly, you have to know how they are normally to know how they are in a situation like this. I could say something and people could say, oh my God, Pat Brown, she's so suspicious. Look what she said. Oh, she laughed. There's some people complain I laugh a lot when I do my shows. And You're laughing and says, about horrible things like this, and it's just terrible, so you're a psychopath because you laugh. You have personality disorder because you have no empathy. And I hope that's not true, but I have a tendency that I have black humor. I do see, I work cases for so long. I tend to see things kind of sometimes amuse me that are funny, and not that I don't care about the sadness of what's going on in the case, but certain things just strike me. You know how when you're at a funeral and somebody makes a comment at a funeral and then people can't stop laughing even though the loved one is dead in front of them? Yeah, sometimes it's like that. So if you don't know how one behaves before the thing happened, you don't know how they behave afterwards. And that's true for victims as well. Sometimes victims come across, let's say a victim, they come across, let's say one of the family members comes across really cold. Well, maybe that's the way they are. Maybe they have trouble expressing their feelings in public. And now they're being told to express their feelings in public and they don't. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, they don't seem to care at all that their mom's dead, or missing, So you get people jumping out doing all this crap. And I think I don't know anything about, I think I have been on camera with Savannah, but I just don't remember really. I've done over 3,000 television shows. I don't remember. I don't know Savannah. I don't know her before and during and after this abduction occurred. I don't know her sister at all. I don't know her brother. I don't know her sister's husband. And I can't sit here just because they make a funny face necessarily say, hey, that makes them guilty of anything. Now, have I sometimes seen an interview and been quite suspicious myself as a profiler? Yes. But we have to be, careful about that. If you filter on the top of the chat, one of the options is fan funding. I'm going to have to check all that out. I really don't know anything about it. I don't. I say I don't usually do open lives. Oh, for God's sakes. I said no politics, and I mean no politics. And I'm not going to comment on it. Stop it. It's just, yeah, thank you, Clarissa. No politics. This is not necessary. This is not about politics. It's just people, get control of yourself. It's ridiculous. Okay. Neighbor claimed a white van in the neighborhood recently. A video taken from Circle K gas station, but didn't mention a van. Look, see, we have the interesting thing about vehicles. There was another case I know that, oh my God, the white van issue. I think it was the snipers too. DC snipers, and also this kidnapping two girls, sisters out of Virginia. White van. Do you know why there's a white van around? And like, I think with the snipers, it was like there was a shooting at like a gas station, and this white van tore off. Well, if you hear a shooting at the gas station, you're gonna put your foot on the gas pedal and get the hell out of there. White van, you're talking about a good portion of contractors working for all these different businesses. A lot of white vans out there. Just a lot of white vans can be very meaningless. But should they look at anything? Obviously the police are going to look at every camera video they can get in that area, and even farther, even traffic cameras, anything, even going away from her house, so that they might catch some vehicle in motion going away. That could be the person who she obviously was in a vehicle, either her own vehicle, as the one person pointed out, or somebody else's vehicle. So she did go away in a vehicle. Nobody walked her away into the woods or something. So she's in a vehicle. They're going to look for every vehicle they can possibly identify. And if they can get lucky, they can identify the vehicle, and then that will connect back to a person. So that would be wonderful if they can do that. But somebody had to take her out of there. So that is definitely an issue. So to wrap up, you think a young couple will work for her. I never said that. See, don't jump to conclusions that I said something. All I said was there's different possibilities. That's all. And I'm absolutely not coming to a conclusion on who I think abducted her. I'm not. But as an investigator profiler, I would look at these different areas. I may find out that there was no young couple that worked for her. I might find out that there was nobody suspicious that worked for her. I have no idea. I don't know who worked for her. I don't know if anybody worked for her, quite frankly. I know who works for me, but I don't know who works for anybody else. So I know who came to my house to do work, but I don't know about her house because I'm not on the inside investigation. So no, I'm not going to sit here and come to a conclusion. And some people, it's so funny, they come to my shows and like, Pat Brown, why don't you just say what you have to say within 15 minutes? I don't want to waste my damn time with you for the next 2 hours. It's because I'm an educational channel. I'm not here to sit here and pontificate. Pat Brown is so brilliant. This is my answer. And then when it's wrong, I'll just eliminate the video, right? I'm not going to do that. This is an educational channel. I want to bring everybody in to understand how the thinking process goes, not anything more than that. So I'm not wrapping up with anything. For God's sakes, please stop it all. Now, this is the other thing. I'm not going to comment on because this is ridiculous. I've been hearing about trafficking, these evil types of traffic elders. They will not stop with the sex trafficking nonsense. We have very little any of that crap going on in the United States. It's garbage. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. There's prostitution in the United States for sure, but nobody's kidnapping little children off the streets and elderly people to sex traffic. Take some meds. Take some meds. It's just so annoying. Okay, that's an interesting point. You grokked it. I'm not against grok, although grok has been sometimes so darn wrong, but sometimes has some interesting info. Digital money kidnapping and ransoms are rampant in Mexico, South and Southern and Central America. Interesting to know. I mean, things have changed over time. So how it's being done, I say this is something that people who are well versed in understanding this kind of thing, it's going to be, the FBI will be really good on that. So I'm going to leave that for them. I'm not going to summarize anything. You want me to summarize it? I don't have to summarize it. This is not what I'm here for. I've already explained it. I don't see this as the thing if you want me to summarize, I don't think, this doesn't look to me like this is a cover up for a murder gone wrong, that somebody would go to all this extent for that. I don't think it makes no sense she was kidnapped, hurt or killed or kidnapped for insurance or for the insurance money or for her house or will or any of that crap, because to me, especially she's not even presented as dead. She's like, how are you going to get the money? Maybe they'll just toss her body out on the road and then maybe that'll work. So if that happens, we'll have something else to think about. It looks to me like, I believe it looks like a 2-person operation. That I do believe, because the evidence seems to support that. Now, seems because I'm not an inside investigation. I believe somebody carried her to a vehicle because of the blood drops. But that's just a scenario that I would present to detectives so that they would look at that. And I do think it was planned. I just don't think this is a home invasion. I don't think it's a home invasion gone bad. I think it's a planned abduction. But that's as much as I can say with that. So, and we don't need to know more than that, because first of all, we don't really need to know anything. I'm doing this because I'd like to help people understand things, but we are not Savannah or her relatives. It's not our relative who has been abducted. It's their relative. So the people that it matters to are her family and her friends and her community and the police handling the case. And for the rest of us, we're bystanders. And yes, it's interesting because it's obviously made the news, and we are fascinated because it's a very unusual crime. So it's understandable that we're fascinated, but also we're not necessarily, we don't have any right to know anything. So we have that. Oh, you believe the Uber driver was a woman? Somebody said. Interesting. Doesn't eliminate her, but I mean, I don't see necessarily any reason that an Uber driver who's accidentally, this looks too planned to me to be an Uber driver says, oh, look, a woman has some money. I think I'll go abduct her and do a ransom. I rather doubt that. Yeah, the place, the cameras are fairly, if you saw what I showed you about the area, I mean, this is pretty, the cameras aren't going to cover everything. No, I mean, it's just not. You're beginning to wonder if she ever made it home. Well, there's blood on her doorstep, and there's evidence of her. So it looks like she made it home. And I don't see, I mean, theoretically, let me look at this. Okay, let's go run through a scenario on this. Okay, so let's say there was an argument at the sister's house, and they killed her at the sister's house. So they decided they would have to pretend she got home. So they put her in their vehicle and they drove her back to the house and carried her into the house. Okay, so they have to get near the neighborhood. Then they got to go and disable the camera so nobody can see them carrying her into the house. But they could go there and get her vehicle and bring her vehicle over to their house, put her body in her vehicle, take her body back to her house so they can drop blood. Oh, no, they put her blood in a little cup of something and then drop the blood on. It's not working out well. It's too much. Again, it's just nah. Sorry, I think she was abducted from the house. But yeah, nervous laughter. Sometimes it is nervous laughter at funerals. Somebody was saying that. Oh, so the people are mad because the sheriff went to a basketball game. Maybe it's his kid. It is gallows humor. Yeah, some of us are like that. We work in the field long enough. It's like, yeah. The blood on this doorstep is not likely to be staged. What's the point of staging blood on a doorstep? To prove that she was there? I mean, it's her blood. So why would anybody purposely drop her blood on the doorstep? See, this is again not the way things work. It's overdone. It's too fancy. It's like, yeah. So basically, you'd have to say that she was killed elsewhere, and then her blood was brought back, so it would look like she was once in the house, and therefore she got attacked in the house and not someplace else. But then why? Boy, I mean, that's fancy. I mean, an Agatha Christie novel, maybe. So. I mean, wouldn't it be easier just to take her back and dump her body in the house and then have her look like a home invasion? Again, I'd go back to make it look like a home invasion. So. I don't know if you're talking about me, but I've never been an FBI profiler, just to let you know. I don't know if it's a different FBI profiler we're talking about. There's a lot of FBI profilers retired who do television work. I'm not an FBI profiler, nor have I ever been. And I disagree with the FBI profiling methodology. So there we go. Well, that's a good point. Or they cried so much off camera they don't have any more tears to shed. Or they're on medications. Some people are on medications because they're so distraught. The brother-in-law looks like a villain, doesn't mean he is one. Yeah. I mean, a guy picked me up the other day. Dude looked like a Unabomber. I swear to God. This was my Uber driver. I looked at his picture. I'm like, dang, this guy's coming to pick me up. I mean, it was like a young Unabomber. He looked scary. He had a 5.0 rating. I'm like, he picked me up. Nicest guy ever. Oh, I love that guy. Nicest guy ever. Well, you might want to redo his picture. Yeah, this is true. Gallows humor is common in law enforcement, healthcare, military. You see a lot of crazy stuff. You do. And it doesn't mean you don't care about people. It just means, yeah, it's just, yeah. I was in healthcare. I worked as a sign language interpreter in healthcare for 13 years of my life. And I've been profiled for over 20. Believe me, I've seen everything. And sometimes you just can't help but laugh. Last night, I'll just let you know, this is funny as hell. Last night, I'm behind my green screen here. My friend and I bought some, we were at a farmer's market. We bought some taro leaves. We're in Hawaii, and I love taro and all foreign taro and the bubble tea, taro bubble tea, and taro, the fried taro little cakes from the dim sum place. So we bought these taro leaves, and we were going to put them in some ramen. He was going to make some ramen and put the taro leaves in there as some greens. And then I said, well, I wonder what they taste like. And each one of us took a bite of the taro leaves. Holy Godzilla. He suddenly calls from the bathroom. He goes, are you burning? Is your mouth burning up? And I felt my entire side of my face burning like 100 bees. I mean, it was the most bizarre thing ever. He's in there gargling and spitting stuff out, and it was horrendous. Who knew that you taro leaves, if you chew them or put them in a smoothie, don't ever put those suckers in a smoothie, you will be in agonizing pain, and it can cause your whole throat to close up. It's very dangerous. It's poisonous shit if you eat it raw. And we were like, I was rolling around in the bed with pain in my face, and he's like in the bathroom, like gargling away. And I started laughing my head off because it was so bizarre that I was hysterical for at least 30 minutes straight. I was in pain, but I was hysterical. And so, but because it was so ridiculous. So, sometimes things just strike us funny, and it doesn't mean that we're not concerned, because I was like pretty concerned that one of us might end up at you have to call 911, because it was pretty bad. Okay. Totally disagree that her sister and husband didn't know about her subscription camera. Why? Because they have power of attorney, are her caretakers. How do we know? I'm sorry. Do we know they're her power of attorney and that they're her caretakers? We know all this, and they probably installed them for her. Do we know all this? That's the question. But again, if they did know all this and knew she had no subscription, they would not have to worry about that dang camera and take it. Yeah. So I do believe, I don't know any of that's true, but if they did know, then they'd have all the less reason to remove the camera because it wasn't important. I never thought I'd see a true crime situation like this. I thought I'd seen it all. Yeah. Let me go see what else we have to say before my time is up here, which is about now. Oh, thank you. Oops, wait a minute. Thank you very much, Kimmy. See, I found this in the comment section. So thank you, Kimmy. I appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. Educational channels need help. Okay. Maybe she coughed as she was being carried out to make part of a pattern. I don't think she did that on purpose. Now, could she have a nosebleed and the nosebleed dropping straight down? Possibly. Again, we just don't know. But what it doesn't show us is, it doesn't show her running. It doesn't show her being attacked. It doesn't show that. And so we have to wonder why things are dropping straight down. And it could be because she's standing still. It could be because she's wrapped up and just being carried, and while the person's standing there holding her for a second before the car pulls up. That's kind of my theory. Let's see, 4 hours before she was allegedly dropped off before the cameras were disabled, and then 45 minutes before she was moved from her home. That's about right. So we don't know what the motive is at this point. It all depends all depends what can be seen. I mean, we all hope that there's good cameras out there. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. So we don't know. Why no proof of life? Maybe because she's not alive. I personally think it's probably because she's not alive. But then again, we don't actually know. Well, that's a good point. Does the sister have a security area at her own home? I'm sure she does. You don't know that she does. A lot of people don't. And she probably had her husband install at both homes. You also don't know that. See, Mike, you don't know that. So you're just making up stuff. Now, is that something investigators will check out? Yes. As an investigator, I would check out, do they have a security system? What security system do they have? How was it installed? Do they have a subscription? Did you help your mother get that? We don't know. So the thing is, we can't make up a whole story as a whole scenario about who did what when we have no clue about the truth of that. So we do not have the facts. And that's why I call this profiling the known facts, not profiling the unknown facts, which there aren't no such thing. I appreciate that, Joseph. That is actually true. Michelle, I noticed Nancy's arm in a picture with Savannah. Nancy's skin is so thin, just grabbing her arm will rip the skin easily. This could be very true. It looked very dark in the picture I saw, so I knew that she had real issues, heart-wise. Yes, there's no proof that she was actually killed in the house. There's no proof that she was seriously harmed in the house. It could be something minor that she's just standing there holding her arm and it's dripping. Could be that. She could have gotten in the car perfectly well alive. But, I forgot about the drug thing, though. If you wanted to keep her alive, I mean, you knew about the drugs, you would think you would take the drugs with you, the medicines. And they didn't. And I don't know why they didn't do that. So either she wasn't alive, so the medicines weren't necessary, or they didn't know she took the medicines and weren't paying attention, or they know she took the medicines but could care less. They just decided to take her and they were going to do their whatever. See, these are a lot of unknown things we simply don't know. We could start making lists, and a lot of times investigators will make lists. What if this is true, and if this is true, and if this is true? But we don't absolutely know. So we don't need to go past what we know to understand, or just at least have some clues what's going on. Okay, there's another person who's going to be an idiot politically. Sorry, if you're going to come here with politics, I'm going to call you an idiot because it's unnecessary and ridiculous. It has nothing to do with politics. Absolutely nothing. There are murders that have to do with politics. This is not one of them. So don't come here with that nonsense. But this is an open live, and I don't have a moderator, so I don't control everything. So I'm sorry for you guys have to put up with that garbage. So because I can't see everything. I know some people would like certain people to disappear at this point. Let's not go into that. I don't care what people's religion is here. I don't care if they're weirdos or not weirdos. None of that matters. That's just it's pointless stuff. It's not facts, and you're just trying to denigrate people. So don't denigrate people. It's completely unnecessary. Let's see. I'm just looking for some more comments because I'm about to wrap up because I got to go watch Super Bowl. So let me just go roll to the bottom here. So many comments, I can't even make it through. I think I've said most of everything I want to say, and I hope I brought some at least understanding to where we're at now. Monday, tomorrow. Yeah, we're on Sunday. Monday is when supposedly the second ransom issue comes in, where if it's not paid, then something bad happens to Nancy, which I don't know what more bad can happen to her at this point. I personally do not think she's alive. I think that's really sad. I think what Savannah said at that I do want to thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you were here. I'm glad you made the open live. Thank you very much. Deadline is tomorrow, supposedly. And again, I don't quite know what that means, but we'll find out. Obviously, we're going to see if the police make some headway on this case, whether they they start understanding who might have been involved. And I'm here with the rest of you. I don't know who did it. I have no absolutes. I just wanted to help people understand things that didn't come from a channel or from the regular media that just throws crap at the wall because it gets clicks and gets views. And because I think that's that's just not something I'm into. And so I just hope that you got something out of this, just trying to be more rational and realistic and leaving the work to the police, because we are not there. We are not on the inside. And I can only speculate on certain things, but based on facts, these are some of the concepts that I can share. That's pretty much it. So anyway, thank you very much. Well, that is true. I'm missing the sub-zero wind chills. Don't you know that I am so happy I'm not in Maryland right now? I decided I would leave Maryland this year, come to Hawaii for 3 months, and I've been here for 5 weeks, and it's been really great. And I haven't missed Maryland at all, except for my kitty cat, who is on my cat camera. So at least I can see what's happening to the cat. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you. That's awesome. And it does make a difference in this channel, believe you me. Because if I wanted to make a lot more money, I'd be doing gossiping and pointing fingers at people and scaring people, you know. So anyway, thank you guys. I'm gonna shut up now because I gotta catch a bus. I don't even have a car here because I'm walking and taking buses here. So thank you much. Appreciate it. So I'm going to take a walk down and take the bus down to Cheeseburger in Paradise and not have a cheeseburger. I'll have a salad, and I'll be watching the Super Bowl. So I don't know who you're for, but I'm for the Mariners. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. You've all been wonderful, except for a few of you who haven't. But again, can't control everything in the world, right? Anyway, thank you for being here. Again, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe, and click Patreon in the link below if you'd like to become a patron. Bye-bye.